If you click on this video, chances are you are struggling with drawing a cubic function. So in this video, I will be discussing how to draw a cubic function, but in this video, it's only drawing it using the formula. Of course, I'll make follow-up videos with different styles of questions I could ask, but this is the most basic type of question, and I'm going to do 3 different types. Okay, from my experience, these are the 3 types that are the most common to come in. Of course, there could be some variations to it, they like to switch things up, but if you can understand these 3 types, you should be fine if they give you the formula and you need to draw it. So let's get into it. So before we actually go into drawing the graphs, let's first go over the graph checklist that I have on the screen. So in order to draw a graph, you're going to need 4 things. The first thing being the y-intercept. The y-intercept is easy to find. All you're going to do is you're just going to make x equals 0. The x-intercepts, not as easy to find, but you just use synthetic division if you need to. But to do this, you just make y equals 0. And then you also need to make sure you are factorizing. Okay, I don't know if it's with a S or a Z, but whatever. Then next are your turning points, also known as your max / min. These are found by making the first derivative equal 0. What's important about your turning points is knowing which one is the max and which one is the min. So this can be found by the shape of the graph. So the shape solely depends on if the graph is positive or negative. If it's a positive graph, the shape is going to look like this, where the max is going to come before the min. Okay, if the graph is negative, then, well, you guessed it, the min is going to come before the max. Okay, so as long as you know these 4 things before you start drawing, it's chips. Okay, it's easy. So let's move on to the first type of question. The first type of question is the easiest type of question. If you got this question, get on your knees and thank the Lord, because this is the easiest type of drawing that you can get. It's already factorized for you. So the first thing we want to find is the y-intercept. So for our y-intercept, it is literally just this 14 here at the end. Okay, so the y-intercept is 14. Next are the x-intercepts. So the x-intercepts, because it's already factorized, it's just these values over here. So the one value is -1, the other value is 2, and the other value is 7. Next up is going to be the turning points. So the turning points I know is the first derivative equal to 0. So what you're going to do is you're just going to find the first derivative of this graph over here. So the first derivative being 3x squared minus 16x plus 5 equals 0. Then what you're going to do, you're just going to factorize. So it's going to be 3x minus 1 and x minus 5 equals 0. So the 2 points is going to be x equals a third and x equals 5. So now you need to know which of these is the max and which is the min. We know the shape of the graph. Because it's a positive graph, the shape is going to look like this, meaning that a third, which comes before 5, is the max, and 5 is going to be the min. So it's not necessary to find the y coordinates. Usually, if they do ask it, you just sub your turning point values into your original function. But in a drawing question, they usually just ask you to label the x-intercepts. So now that we know all of this, I mean, we can literally just draw the function. Maybe I should have put a piece of graph paper here, but whatever. So the y-intercept is 14. Your x-intercepts are -1, 2, 7. Your max and min, your max is a third. So we'll go a third over here. Go maybe all the way up. Then your min is 5. Let's put 5 here. Go down. Then all you're going to do, you're literally just going to connect the dots. So we're going to go through the -1, through the 14, up to the max, down to the next intercept, down to the min, and then through the next intercept. Obviously, my graph looks terrible, but that's the point. I drew it terrible on purpose, of course, just to show you that it can look terrible as long as you're going through the right points. Okay, so that's question 1, the easiest type of question. Okay, so you should be able to do that. Let's move on to question 2. So question 2, a bit more tricky, okay, because they're not factorizing it for you. So you are going to need to factorize it using synthetic division. So for this one over here, I mean, the y-intercept is always going to be simple. The y-intercept here is that 30. But now for the x-intercepts, it's going to be a bit harder. We're going to have to use synthetic division, okay? I don't have a video explaining it, but there's many videos out there, but I'll explain it right now. So what we are going to do is we're going to find one root that works, okay? So for our x value, we are just going to sub in values on our calculator up until we get an x value that gives us 0, okay? So if I take the calculator, I'm just going to cut and I'll come back when I have a value. Okay, I'm back. So the value that I got is 2. So one of the values is going to be, a 2. So one of the factor, the factor is going to be x minus 2. So what you're going to do with this information, you're going to draw a table like this, okay? In this table, you're going to write the coefficients and the constant. So the coefficient of x to the power 3 is 1, then it's minus 4, then it's minus 11, then it's 30. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to write the factor in this corner over here. The factor being 2. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this one value and we're going to drop it all the way down over here. Once we do this, we're going to take these two values and multiply them. 1 times 2 is 2. So you write it down over here. Then we add minus 4 and 2. We're going to get minus 2. Then we multiply this minus 2 by the 2 and we are going to get negative 4. Then negative 11 minus 4 is going to give us negative 15. Now we take this negative 15 multiplied by the 2 and guess what? We get negative 30 and 0. So these numbers over here are important. These numbers over here create a trinomial, okay? So we know one of the factors is x minus 2, but now we have a trinomial of x squared minus 2x minus 15. So now all we need to do is we just need to factorize that trinomial and then we'll have our x-intercept. So x minus 2, and then this is x, okay, wait, let me cook, minus 5, x plus 3. So our x-intercepts is going to be x equals 2, x equals 5, and x equals minus 3. Okay, now the last thing we need to do is going to be, well, there's two more things. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to find the turning points. So the turning points, you are going to take the first derivative and you are going to make it equal 0. So the first derivative of this specific function is going to be 3x squared minus 8x minus 11. We're going to make it equal 0. So the next thing you're going to do, we're just going to factorize. So this is going to be 3x in one bracket, x in another bracket equals 0. This is going to be minus 11, and this is going to be plus 1. Okay, so now we can find our points. It's going to be x equals 11 over 3 or x equals minus 1. So the next important thing is going to be the shape. We can see once again it's a positive graph, meaning that this point here is going to be the minus 1. This point is going to be 11 over 3 because minus 1 is further left than 11 over 3. So now we can draw the graph. Okay, so once again, I know it's a bit terrible, but whatever. So now what we're going to do, going to draw it. So y-intercept is 30. So I mean, I guess we can write it all the way up here. Then our x-intercepts are going to be 2, 5, and minus 3. Okay, next up are the turning points. So the turning points is minus 1, which you can put somewhere over there. The next one is 11 over 3, which is about 3 point something. So I guess it can go somewhere over here. And then the minus 1 we know is the max. So we're just going to draw a dotted line up. This is the min, a dotted line down. Then all we're going to do once again, connect the dots. So through the minus 3, up to the max, through 30, through 2, to the min, and then through 5. Okay, quite simple. all you need to do is you just need to make sure you find these 4 things over here in the checklist, okay? Once you do that, it's quite simple. So the next one, I guess it's a bit trickier, but not really, but we can go over it. So for this one over here, you'll notice something very important, the square bracket, okay? A square bracket creates what I call a double intercept, okay? A double intercept is also called a bounce. So all this means is that bracket contains 2 x-intercepts, and it also means that that bracket is also the turning point. So what a bounce looks like, if you have the x-axis, a bounce touches it and bounces right back up. It doesn't cut through it completely. It just basically makes like a tangent to it, if you want to think of it like that. So what we're going to do in this one is we just have to keep in mind that there's a bounce. It doesn't really change that much. So the y-intercept is going to be -25. The x-intercept, you'll notice there's actually only 2 x-intercepts here, being -1 and 5. Okay, now for the turning points, same exact thing. To find the turning points, you're going to make the first derivative equals 0. The first derivative here is -3x squared plus 18x minus 15 equals 0. What you can do here is you can divide everything by -3. So you're going to have x squared minus 6x plus 5 equals 0. Then once again, just going to factorize x minus 5, x minus 1 equals 0. Therefore, x equals 5 or x equals 1. So now once again, we need to know which is what turning point. But before we even go on to that, notice how the 1 x-intercept is the same as the 1 turning point. That 5 value is the bounce, like we discussed before. So we know the shape here is now going to be a negative shape because our graph is negative. So the shape is going to look something like this. It's going to go down and then up. So 1 over here is the minimum and 5 over here is the maximum. So the way we're going to draw it, we need to keep the bounce in mind. So our y-intercept is -25. Our x-intercept is -1 and it is also 5. So 5 over here. Then our max and min, our minimum value is 1, our max is 5. So how this is going to look, because this is the minimum value, we're going to go down. But in this situation, the max value aren't actually going to go up because we know it lies on the x-intercept. So now we just connect the dots. So through the -1, through the 25, down to the min, up to the 5, and then we are going to bounce. Okay, and that is basically it. Okay, that's how to do these questions where you are given the formula. Obviously, these are the easiest type of questions. So if you come across it, well, good luck. Well, not good luck, but I'm happy for you. Usually the harder questions are the descriptions and the first derivative questions. So make sure you know how to do this. If you can't do this, you obviously can't do the harder questions. These questions should be fine. What I do recommend is I obviously went through it. You can go back and look at the question and try and do it yourself without my help, and then you can check if you got your answers right. But for now, that is me, and I'll see you again when you are struggling. So